All right. So I think we're recording.
And it's on, it's staying live, so cool. Cool.
Yeah, I want to see, I want to just go to Facebook and just see if anybody, posts any questions.
Oh, that's right.
So, give me one sec.
Oh, it's showing live in a few minutes. There we are. I think we're here.
So there we are. Oh, I'm so excited. And thank you for coming on today.
Yes. I didn't even know what we were talking about, to be honest, because you're creating so many amazing things.
And I don't know what I'm talking about either.
So many changes and shifts in our lives. It's like, well, what can we contribute today? What can I share today? And I really got present, like, I don't have it figured out. I'm going through the journey. I'm going through the steps every day. But to have someone like you and some of the other people that, we come together in these classes or even twice a month, it contributes so much to my world. I'm super grateful. And I want people to have that too, because I get stuck. And then we get into these conversations and it's like, oh my gosh, you just ask a simple question. It's like, like just in the question alone has you step away from the stuckness.
Yeah.
It's
there's
amazing.
A real difference of like, because I try to I try to be that energy of question, but there are times when I am not being a question. I might be asking a question, but it's in my head and it's not, it is being energy, and that's completely different. And that's why I love reconnecting with some of the more advanced classes and some of the things that Gary and Dane do, because like just being on a call with Gary or Dane, they're being this energy that totally melts all of your logical, idiotic point of view. And you become aware of these totally different energies that we're like, oh yeah, that, like magic and possibilities, right? But in normal life, you get so sucked into trying to figure things out and trying to understand them and trying to use your mind to create, rather than being these energies and being the question and being this magical possibility.
Yeah, and I think automatically we try to force it into our world, force it into existence, so to speak. And I've talked to a few people about being in, the situation where they're doing so much more. They feel like they're pulled, they're staying at home with their kids. They're having to, work from home. They're having to juggle all these things. And I thought, yeah, that is a lot of stuff to take on. And what would it be like to have that all with ease, joy, and glory? And it was like, well, yeah, like I can't, like they can't see that, they can't fathom that. But I think because it comes from a place of you gotta work hard, you gotta push through it. So what would you say to some of those people that feel like they're just like all over the map and they don't have that?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of what I wanted to speak to on this today, is talking about what is the foundation and why would somebody want to take the foundation class. And why would you want to repeat it if you've done it before? Because it's so freaking different. And part of what it's doing is it's like melting all the walls of limitation that we have so heavily bought into, that create reality, that create like the reality that everybody buys into, not your reality. So we've thrown our reality out the window in favor of this joint reality that everybody else believes in and projects at us. And it feels so awful and so limiting and so wrong. And yet to get out of it is not to force against it. It's not to push, but there's this space of allowance. And it's really funny because today I had a few customers in the store at the same time. And this is like the first time since March that I've actually had 2 people in the store at the same time. So something's different. But this one lady, she was a psychologist, And she was looking at me in horror because the man who was buying a gift for his wife was just spewing all of his point of view about, you know, masks, no masks, whatever his point of view was. And then he was like, wow, your jewelry is really nice. I would have thought that it would be cheap and whatever, but it's like so much more nice. And she was taking offense. And I was like, yes, thank you. Yes, it's elegant. Yes, that's my vibe. That's what I bring to it. It's different. And he left. And she was like, I can't believe how awful he was. And I'm like, hey, you know, he bought something. That's a contribution to me, you know, and thank you for, you know, being on my side, but I didn't take offense at all. And then I ended up giving her a card for Beauty in the Breakup, since she's a psychologist, like, why not share that? But when you're not in resistance, like, you can see the possibilities. And that's one of the things that I think Foundation shows you, is that, you know, if you don't like what's going on, you have these tools to be something different that melts and morphs what seems real and unchangeable into greater possibilities that you can then choose. And it sort of melts your brain. So you barely even understand what the hell it is while you're going through it, which is why repeating it is so effective, because you actually can hear more.
Yeah, agree. And I'm curious, did the guy, because you were an allowance and you gave him that space to just be wherever he was, no judgment, no point of view about he's right or wrong, or, you know, feeling you needed to defend whatever your point of view was, did you notice that he kind of dropped the charge around that, or?
Sure. And he also, like, he wanted to help me. Excuse me. I was saying, you know, I appreciate your business, because I wasn't sure if I would continue. And he's like, no, you must. Like, you'll make it. It's okay. Here, I have another business. Maybe we can use some of your jewelry in our photos. Like, he started reaching out to try to bend over and like help me, because I wasn't in resistance to him, which is really cool.
Wow, Julie, that's so awesome. I mean, it just makes me think if more people had that space and allowance for whatever was coming their way, whether it's politics, whether it's different cultures, whether it's, you know, all the stuff that's going on right now with, you know, the pandemic. I wonder, my question would be, it's like, what would it look like if more people would be that space of allowance and be that space of no judgment? How much people would reach out and contribute to each other versus trying to like over dominate, overpower.
Yeah. Or being right. Yeah. Like this whole thing about being right. And tonight on our call, the Expand Your Reality call, I have an amazing clearing that I just heard on a call that Dane did that I'm going to use, because it's awesome. Talking about this rightness and inherent wrongness, and trying to prove that we're not wrong. So yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, it's melting me right now just thinking about it, just the possibility of a world that can be like that, you know, and how much we stop investing in ourselves in, you know, in, I wouldn't say taking classes or, you know, contributing to investing in ourselves, whether it's a class, whether it's a book, whether it's a dance class, whether it's something that you've been wanting to do for a very long time that you've stopped doing because, you know, whatever, you know, thousands of reasons why, right? But yeah, so anyways, I don't know, I lost my train of thought, but
that's okay. I'm trying to pull up this graphic that I made so I can read to you some of the elements of the foundation.
Okay.
Because I often forget. Okay, here we are. Just make it a little bigger. Okay. So what's covered in the foundation? So these are just some of the things in the table of contents. Sources of creation. So how many of you guys are looking for a different source for creation, because normal creation isn't really working,
Mm-hmm.
right? So these are different sources of creation. There's stuff about money and financial awareness, elements of intimacy, elements of sex, creating a good relationship, empaths and healing, energy flows, entity clearing, some of the basics around that. And there's 4 body processes and so much more. But really it's like becoming aware of what you've always known and what you've always been that has never been acknowledged. And as many times as you've taken other classes or other foundations and, you know, heard like a little bit on the surface, it's like, oh, I had this really great image. Okay, so when I was studying art in college, I studied Michelangelo and how he would take this big block of marble and chip. And from his words, he was saying that he didn't feel like he was a sculptor. He was just removing the debris from around the thing that he saw in the block. So that's sort of what I perceive at being a access consciousness facilitator, is like chip, 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 chip away at the crust that we've built up around ourselves, around our being, to allow the being to emerge. It's not like changing you, it's just getting rid of the shit, the shell, the shit that you've hid yourself with and, you know, crusted over so that you could protect yourself, and actually become the being that you are, like shining in the world and not needing any protection, because we actually don't any longer. It's been 4 trillion years. War is over. You know, things have changed. And now it's possible to just be.
Because to be, and the foundation really taps in like all those things you've solidified, like this is the way my life has been, this is the way I've been told to do it right, this is the way I've seen people succeed in this area, this is, so all the is, all the shoulds, all the have tos kind of melt away, and it's like then you get to the point like, well, what if there's none of that? Like, what would I like to create? What would I like to choose? What would contribute to my life? What would contribute to the life and the people around me, but not from a place of like a need, but just what's possible. And it's so liberating just to the person taking it, like myself, but it's liberating to the people around you that have never taken a class.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they're choosing more for their lives because they see me choosing more for mine. And
yeah, the ripple effects are incredible. And I just love seeing people change, and it changes me too. So I'm just like super grateful and lucky to be a facilitator.
Yeah. They're
So
awesome.
anyway, we have one coming up soon.
Where can they register? On the Julie Tooten Energy?
Yep. Yep, on my website or on the Access Consciousness website, and we'll pop a link in the comments here. And what would it take if you haven't taken a foundation in a while, or if you haven't even chosen it, you haven't dipped your toes in the water yet? It's like, it's hot out. Go swimming in the clear pool. It's amazing. You'll be so refreshed.
Yes. I mean, just allow your body to tap into the energy of what it would be like. And it's like right away, it's like, oh my gosh, yummy. So,
yeah.
So cool.
Yep. So thank you for being on.
Thank you, Julie. Looking forward to it.
All right.
Okay. All right. Take care.